one game away. Blow up. We're playing for something, man. We're playing for something. It's gotta mean something to you. It gotta mean something. Everything you got. Let's finish this.
Do it, fellas.
Let's go.
Let's do it, fellas.
Finish 2-3. 1, 2, 3. Finish.
When did winning not become the main thing? I always say keep the main thing, where, winning is the only thing that truly matters.
My tea's gone cold, I'm wondering why I got out of bed at all. The morning rain clouds out my window, and I can't see it all. And even if I could, it'd all be great. But your picture on my wall, it reminds me that it's not so bad. It's not so bad. Yo, welcome to another episode of the recap on Saints World. Yo, my head don't hurt. More like my hair kind of hurt because I let people play in my head. So it's a story for another day. But nonetheless, the first football Sunday is in the books. Now I sound excited, but I am not. I'm the opposite of excited. I'm disappointed. I'm let down. I'm trying to think of some more words that fit in that realm of words that I just used. Because I'm not really angry. I could be angry, but I'm not really angry. I wouldn't say that I'm irritated. A bit annoyed. But let's start with my favorite thing that I saw this week. Yes, my favorite thing that I saw Sunday, week 1 of the NFL. Justin Fields. No, he did not win. His team did not ultimately get the dub. But I just saw Justin Fields probably play his best game as an NFL pro. I've watched and I've critiqued and I've been critical of Justin Fields his entire career at this point. It started with me saying after his rookie year that I see a shit ton of potential. He could do this, he could do that, but he got to work on this and that. And then the next couple years, I just was not impressed at all. As a matter of fact, I felt like these last couple years since his rookie season, he actually regressed. But Sunday in MetLife Stadium, Justin Fields to me played probably his best game as a pro. And it's interesting, I understand that I'm saying this after they lost that game. But Justin Fields to me, it's not as much about the win or the loss, because they could have won that game. That's the first thing. 2, the biggest thing to me, Aaron Rodgers threw 4 touchdowns in this game. I'm willing to go back and look through Justin Fields' history. A quarterback that put up 4 touchdowns against a team that he is the quarterback of, they probably get blown out in those games. Because Justin Fields usually is not going to keep an offense in a game if an opposing offense don't put up that many points against him. Justin Fields today just played, like I said, I think this is the best game I've seen Justin Fields play in his career. This was an amazing game by him. He made throw after throw. And listen, I understand that the Steelers defense was not impressive at all. The Steelers defense did not look good throughout this game, especially secondary-wise. The secondary did not look that great. However, Justin Fields, and not only did he make big throws, he made big runs, big decision-making. The offense for the Jets looked fluid. This is the first time I've seen the Jets offense in God knows how long that looked competent, that looked like they knew exactly what they wanted to do when they went out there on the field. Now, you can chalk it up to, maybe he just knew what to expect from the Steelers because he played with them last year. I don't think so. I think this, to me, watching that game, now I understand it's one game, so I'm not going to jump out the window on one game, but it's just my favorite thing that I saw week 1. On Sunday. But when you look at what so for one, I know there's going to be people who say, I thought they said Justin Fields couldn't throw. Well, the evidence coming up to this point, for one, I always say, you got to use a bit of critical thinking. People are not saying that Justin Fields can't throw. They're saying he can't run a competent offense that throws the ball enough to be a winning or Super Bowl contending team. Because there's throws that you just have to make throughout a season and throughout a game at times that he just at this point in his career had not shown that he can make. However, I don't even think it was just the throws. I think it's situations also, because a lot of times when Justin Fields had to come back in games, or when his team finally was losing and you had to rely on him to make a big play, he usually turned the ball over. In this game, he battled back and forth with the Steelers. When it was time to make big plays, he drove his team down the field multiple times. He made big throws. He stepped up in the pocket and made throws. He scrambled around and picked up big plays to make big throws. Clearly, his confidence with Garrett Wilson means something. And it's funny because when you see Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, you can see their chemistry from college going into the NFL. And even though they hadn't played together since college, which was what 4 or 5 years ago at this point, they look like they picked right up where they left off. Garrett Wilson is going to do wonders for Justin Fields. Now, I think Justin Fields done had weapons throughout his career, so this is not an issue of he's never had weapons. I also don't think this is his coach never believed in him, because the Bears traded away a first pick in the draft to keep Justin Fields. Like, I don't think this was just people didn't believe in Justin Fields. Justin Fields hasn't developed the way you wanted him to. However, clearly, Aaron Glenn and that coaching staff has figured something out, at least from what I'm seeing after that first game. Because even though they did lose that game, the Jets look like they will be a competitive team in the AFC and in the NFC this year. If Justin Fields played the way he played today throughout the season, I'm not saying every single game he got to go out there and put up the numbers he just put up today. But if he go out there for the majority of the season and he put together games that are similar to what he put together today, for one, you're going to win more games than you lose, more than likely. 2, you will be the Jets quarterback for the next couple years. They will take a gamble on you, because it's no way that if the majority of his season looked like this, you got to think to yourself, well, what can we do next year with Justin Fields? So, shout out to Justin Fields. I've been very critical of Justin Fields, and rightfully so. I can break down the tape and explain exactly why I have been as critical as I have been on Justin Fields. But for today, week 1, Sunday, the kickoff week for the NFL, Justin Fields did his thing, even in a losing effort. Shout out to Jalen Ramsey. But with that out of the way, let's run through some of these scores real quick before we start talking about some of the games that I watched. Because I didn't watch all of the games. Obviously, there's no shot that I could watch all of the games. And I'm going to tell you, matter of fact, let me go ahead and tell you the games that I did. I'll just tell you as I'm reading through the scores. But Tampa Bay was in Atlanta today. NFC, what is that division? NFC South. NFC South division. I believe that's the South. Tampa Bay wins 23-20 in Atlanta. Cincinnati was in Cleveland for AFC North showdown. Cincinnati somehow wins 17-16. And I'm going to get back to this game later on in the show. Carolina was in Jacksonville. They lose 10-26. The Giants were in Washington. They lose 6-21. I'm going to get to that game later on also. Vegas was in New England. They win 20-13. Arizona was in New Orleans, and they pick up a 20-13 victory. Pittsburgh was in New York, and they win 34-32. And I'm going to get back to that game, even though I just talked about Justin Fields. Miami was in Indiana, and they lose 8-33. San Francisco was in Seattle. Oh, and I'm going to get back to that Miami game also. San Francisco was in Seattle. They pick up a victory, 17-13. I'm going to talk about something in that game, but I'm not really going to go through that entire game. Tennessee was in Denver. They lose 12-20. I'm going to talk about a couple things in that game, but I'm not going to, go crazy over that game. Detroit was in Green Bay. They lose 13-27. I'm going to talk about this game. Houston was in L.A. taking on the Rams. They lose 9-14. Baltimore was in Buffalo. They lose 40-41. And I'm, of course, going to talk about that game because that's my squad, and that's the team that I watch. But I'm going to save them for last. So if you came here to see me talk about the Baltimore Ravens, you could probably, and you only want to see me talk about Baltimore, like you have no interest in seeing me talk about anything else, and I'm telling you, it's going to be worth listening to me talk about what I'm going to talk about with Baltimore. You could just go ahead and skip to probably the back end of the video, because that's when I'm going to start talking about Baltimore. But first, I want to knock out some of these other things before I get to the Baltimore Ravens, if you don't mind. So, the first game that I watched today was Pittsburgh in New York. So I do want to talk about that game because, like I said, the New York Jets offense was beautiful. It looked great throughout the majority of this game. This was one of the best games of week 1, by the way. Like, this was a back and forth game all the way through. Very interestingly, the Pittsburgh, that stud pass rush for Pittsburgh didn't really exist for the majority of the game. Like, the New York Jets offensive line did a damn good job silencing that pass rush for the Pittsburgh Steelers early in the game. Now, as fate would have it, TJ Watt and those boys did make some big plays in the back end of this game in the clutch moments in order to get the ball to be able to, because they had like a swing where they scored like 14 points in like 50 seconds or something like that. So ultimately they did make big plays. But one of the things that I picked up in this game, and I'll probably come back to this game later on when I get to the Baltimore game, Pittsburgh's defense. So I made a video earlier, probably a couple weeks ago, and I talked about how I thought Pittsburgh's defense, if they are good, then I think Aaron Rodgers will fit, because I just felt like Aaron Rodgers would be an upgrade over Russ, even if in the slightest. The secondary for Pittsburgh is not good, and I don't know how much better they can get. And I'm gonna allude to this later on in the show again, but I don't know how much better they can get right now because Jalen Ramsey. I believe in Jalen Ramsey, but Jalen Ramsey is just one dude, and he is older now, so he is not not covering guys the way he could cover them in his prime. And the help around him, I don't think is really elite level talent. I think you try to rely on scheme and really the pass rush to help the secondary more so than the talent of the secondary. I mean, I think you rely on the pass rush more than you even rely on the defensive scheme helping the secondary. And that's bad. So I think when you look at this game today, and the reason I give Justin Fields credit is because I done seen Justin Fields play games where even when defensive secondaries were bad, he still looked bad against them. Today, he took what they gave him. He created big plays. He extended plays to create big plays. The Pittsburgh Steelers, it don't matter if they was in a man, a zone, a hybrid. It don't matter what they played. It was holes everywhere. Like, dude, Garrett Wilson ran right past Slay. Like, to me, the Pittsburgh secondary looked old. They looked slow. They looked confused. I think, and once again, that pass rush came through for him at the end of the day. So that was big. And Aaron Rodgers had a big game. But this Pittsburgh secondary, if this is how they play for the majority of the season, I don't know how good the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to be, because you got to also remember, Pittsburgh didn't really have an offense. A pass rush for the majority of this game. If the New York Jets capitalize on a lot of plays in this game, it probably don't even come down to this. They probably win this by 2 touchdowns if they could have done more on offense. And they had a good game offensively. Don't get me wrong. They put up 32 points. But the Jets probably had 40-plus points in their arsenal. I feel like they left a couple plays out there. And the Pittsburgh ultimately capitalized on that because Mike Tomlin is Mike Tomlin. Aaron Glenn had a hell of a coaching debut also, so shout out to him. But if you are the Pittsburgh Steelers and you're looking at this secondary and you realizing Cam getting older, TJ getting older, Highsmith getting older, Patrick Queen getting older, I don't know how much you can rely on the pass rush saving this secondary every week. And not only that, you barely beat the New York Jets. And I don't know if you run this game back, the New York Jets don't walk out of this with a victory. Now, on the flip side of that, Pittsburgh, if I'm a Pittsburgh fan, I'm very happy about the offense. Now, I'm not gonna stunt with you. It is some things in this offense that I'm gonna keep an eye out for, like the second receiver. I think a better secondary, because the Jet secondary is good, it's decent. Brandon Stevens not good. He got killed all game. I think it's a reality out there where some games Pittsburgh's offense is going to look kind of rough, because I don't really have a lot of faith, or if any, in the Pittsburgh run game. And I think at some point in time this season, like this game, they're going to flip it over and just go heavy pass. But I think the problem is when you go heavy pass, I think Pittsburgh is going to be relying on scheme and Aaron Rodgers far more than the players that they have around them. And I don't really believe in the scheme as much. And, you know, I believe in Aaron Rodgers a little bit more than the scheme. But DK Metcalf is also an older player. If you double team DK Metcalf, which I don't even see a ton of teams doing that, but if teams do decide that, if a team is talented enough to be able to double DK and let everybody else just play who they play, I think that can get a little tricky for the Steelers, especially if the running game not going. Because I think, for one, over the last couple years, Aaron Rodgers done been more of a dink and dunk type of quarterback. He don't really play the way he was playing in his prime in Green Bay. That's why his numbers didn't look as bad as they could have looked last year, because him being a dink and dunk more type of quarterback done saved him from making too many mistakes. Because he made some. But listen, today he made a lot of great throws. He looked like vintage Aaron Rodgers a lot throughout this game. He was playing with a lot of spite and hate for the Jets in this game, as he alluded to basically in the interview, saying he was happy to be anything associated with the Jets. But this was a great game by Aaron Rodgers in the offense. Like I said, I'm not going to get too crazy about it, because I do think they are missing a second receiver. However, Aaron Rodgers don't really play with two tight ends throughout his career. He always played with really three receivers on the field. I don't know how many times they're going to put three receivers on the field with this Steelers team, because I don't think you have. I don't think, for one, the best formation is three receivers. I think Jonnu Smith and Pat Freiermuth have to be on the field, which is what's going to happen with Arthur Smith, because those, when you look at your best receiving weapons, it go DK, Freiermuth, Jonnu Smith, or DK, Jonnu, Freiermuth. Either way, that's the top three. So you want both of those dudes on the field. And so it's going to be interesting to see who they use as the second receiver in Pittsburgh. I'm very interested in that. Who's going to get the most? Because really, as we know, if you watch Aaron Rodgers throughout Aaron Rodgers' career, it's going to be whoever he decides to build that trust with. Whoever he trusts the most when it comes to that second receiver, that's who's going to get opportunities. But I thought it was a good game overall by the Pittsburgh offense. Once again, I don't want to beat a dead horse. It could get a little tricky playing a better second. You know what's crazy? It was a drive in this game where the Jets got away with two pass interferences that was so blatant. like them hoes was so blatant. But I wanted the Jets to win, obviously, because I didn't want Pittsburgh to win. But that was just something I thought about. But anyways, Pittsburgh offense, I think it's a lot more hope there, though. Even though I'm worried about that second receiver thing, I do think you got a lot of hope. One of the things I'm interested in, how is Aaron Rodgers going to look with two tight ends on the field most of the time? That's going to be interesting to me. I'm thinking to myself right now, like, exactly how that would look. And he's still building a relationship on the field with DK, because this is their first time playing together. So the Pittsburgh Steelers offense, it was a good week one. 4 touchdown throws by Aaron Rodgers. It was a great week one display, especially, and it was on the road. That made it even better. This was a great game, like I said. But shout out to both teams. I thought that was, if you lose in week one, I don't mind losing like the Jets, because that was a great loss. I mean, there's no such thing really as a great loss. But that's a Jets loss where you could be proud of yourself. You did a lot of things great. We got to work on a couple things, but we did a lot of things great in this game. Justin Fields looked great in this game. So, to me, once again, I can't remember the last time Justin Fields went toe-to-toe with another quarterback that put up 4 touchdowns like Aaron Rodgers did. Like, Justin Fields, in a way, I mean, shit, he kind of looked just as good, if not better than Aaron Rodgers throughout this game. I mean, to me, the decision-making, the athleticism. Like, this is one of them games where he actually put his athleticism to use. Now, I think he actually got killed a couple times in the offensive play calling department. How many times do you hear me say that? I think some of the play calls actually were not as great as they could have been for him, especially once you saw that he was dicing up this weak Steelers secondary. I would have threw in probably 3 or 4 more passing plays for him on some of those drives. Like, I thought that this was as good as I've seen a Justin Fields offense led offense look. And to me, this is probably the best I done seen the Jets offense look in a minute. And they lost this game. But mind you, they only lost it by 2. So a tweak there, a tweak here. You know, fix this, fix that. They could have won this game. So once again, that was a great game. Now, I want to get back to this Giants game real quick. I'm not going to be here for too long. But Russell Wilson didn't really look great this game. Malik Neighbors didn't really look great this game. The defense of the Giants, I'm not going to say they looked bad because I don't think, I understand the score ended up ultimately being 6-21. I actually think the Giants defense for the better part of this game looked good. I think they run into an issue of when your offense is as bad as it was today, it's just so hard to continuously stop Jayden Daniels from getting in the end zone or having a Jayden Daniel-led offense getting into the end zone. I just think that's what they ran into today. The interesting thing is they said that this wasn't on Russ, yada yada yada. I just don't know. Even if you decide that it's not on Russ, because I didn't watch this entire game, so I'm not going to sit here and break this game down. But I just wanted to focus on that. Even if you believe that this wasn't on Russ, at the end of the day, if Russ continued to put together games where the offense, I don't even care about the numbers. I'm not even going to go look at the numbers right now. They're probably going to be on the screen or at some point in time throughout the show. But I'm not personally going to go look at the numbers myself and analyze them because your offense scored 6 points. So the numbers probably not going to tell me more than what them 6 points is telling me. Your offense wasn't good. That's probably what I'm going to get from them numbers. So when you score 6 points in an NFL game, if you're a Russell Wilson, I don't care if it's your fault or not. You put together 2-3 more games where your offense don't put up more than, a couple points, Jackson Dart's going to get inserted into the offense. I don't care what the coach say. I don't care what nobody say. If Russell Wilson was not brought here for this offense to look worse than it did with Daniel Jones, that's just not why you brought him here. So if you have a couple more weeks where the offense struggled like it did today, I don't care whose fault it is. Russ is going to be replaced by Jackson Dart. That's just what I wanted to say about that game. But once again, I didn't watch that entire game. I want to get to Cleveland and Cincinnati real quick because I did actually watch the back end of this game. The fact that Cleveland's defense played this is the Cleveland Browns are just in an interesting situation because I understand people will say, "Oh, well, the interception's not on Joe Flacco," blah blah blah. Bro, once again, much like I said when it came to that Giants team, where I don't care about what the numbers say or don't say, they're probably going to say the offense was bad. I do not care whose fault it was that Joe Flacco threw 2 interceptions. I don't care if it was his fault. I don't care if it was the player's fault, his receiver's fault. I don't care. The trend of Joe Flacco continuously throwing interceptions since he has come back to being a starter for whatever team he starts for. This interception problem does not help a Cleveland Brown team that is undermanned on offense, basically. You're not coming into most of these games with a more talented offense than the opposing team. When your defense puts together a game that they just put together against an offense that the Bengals can put together, which I'm going to get to the Bengals in a second or in a couple minutes. But when your defense just put together that type of game against the Bengals with T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, Noah Fant, Chase. What's the running back? Chase Brown or I can't remember his name. I think it's Chase Brown though. Joe Burrow. You got all this weaponry on offense. They held him to 14 points or what? 17 points. They held him to 17 points. In the second half, they damn near dominated in the second half. And the Cleveland offense missed field goals. Couldn't do shit really on offense. It was just why lose games like this with Joe Flacco? Why not figure out what you have with either Shador or Dylan Gabriel? I would rather lose a game by 50 points with one of them two than have losses like this where it's like, bro, the offense really didn't look like shit. If anything, it looked piss poor. Our defense dominated, and once again, didn't matter because look at the offense. Like, to me, I just don't know what is the purpose of having these type of losses or these type of games really on the ledger for this season. To me, Joe Flacco should not be the starter. Dylan Gabriel should be your starter. Regardless of how I feel about Shador, Dylan Gabriel, since you drafted him in the 3rd round, clearly you like him more than Shador. He should be the starter. Shador should be the backup. Joe Flacco should be the 3rd. Or you should just release Joe Flacco and have whoever else. I don't know if Joe Flacco will be mad or not. Really don't care. It is no purpose in having these type of games on the resume, on the ledger for this season, when you have 2 rookie quarterbacks. So you could be trying to figure out what they have. Now, maybe if both of them just play like shit throughout the entire season and you give both of them opportunities and they just is stinking up the joint and it's very clear that we are bad because both of these 2 dudes is bad, I don't care if you go to Joe Flacco and you start having these type of ridiculous losses. But to me, what does it even matter that you learn after this game? Joe Flacco not going to be your quarterback next year more than likely. So you go to the locker room. You go to the meeting rooms Monday or Tuesday, whenever the hell you go and have your meetings. You look at the film, you're going to say a lot of shit that don't matter. Because Joe Flacco probably won't even be our quarterback come week 3, week 5, week 6. Like, who knows? Like, to me right now, this is the problem with the Cleveland Browns, bro. They just... I can't even think of a phrase that explains how backwards Cleveland is right now. Like, bro, you're paying Myles Garrett that much money to have Joe Flacco as your starter right now. But you have the rookie quarterbacks. You have the guys to like this season. If Joe Flacco played the majority of the season and you're a bad team again, it was just a wash of a season. It was a pointless season. You would rather have Dylan Gabriel and Shador play the majority of this season, have them be piss poor, and figure out, well, shit, we're going to need to draft a quarterback in the 1st round next year because we know that these ain't our quarterbacks. I don't understand having this, and I probably could have spoke on this before, but I didn't have a show out before talking about the Browns. But yeah, that's my thoughts on Cleveland. I just don't understand having Joe Flacco be your starter at this point. When you have Gabriel, you have Shador. This is not a situation of where you don't have a rookie quarterback to figure out if you can build around that rookie quarterback. You have the rookie quarterback. And it ain't like you got no name. Both of them is highly touted at this point. Even if just Gabriel is because of whatever you believe he is hyped for, and whatever you believe, they are both hyped up rookies at this point. Like, I would rather figure out what I have with those 2 than watch a loss like this with Joe Flacco. I'm just going to be honest with you. And I know some people will say, well, saying it's just week 1. What if Joe Flacco reel out 4, 5, 6 wins in a row? That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. Now, turning it over to Cincinnati. I done spoke on Cincinnati's offense so many times. this Jekyll and Hyde, this two-phase, three-phase type of offense that they have. For sometimes they look like the greatest offense in the world, and other times they look like one of the worst offenses in the world. And then sometimes they just look like they don't know if they've ever played offense before. And then it's times where it's like, okay, it's right there, but for some reason they just like, what do we do? And then they end up just figuring it out in the second half. It's just so many different things to this offense for Cincinnati. And today, you got the bad Cincinnati offense. This wasn't a, okay, what are we doing? And then they figure it out. This was they didn't really figure it out. They had to settle for what they settled for. Was one of the games they probably won't. They'll scrub the film and say we are a better offense than that. However, are you? Because obviously I know what they can do. But once again, I continue to say Cincinnati's cheapness is killing them. Because I don't know how many offensive coordinators could have a Joe Burrow, a Jamar Chase, a T. Higgins, a Noah Fant, throw in any other tight end or a running back to that, and be this bad. Or have weeks where your offense looks this piss poor, bro. Like, honest to God. I'm going to get to the Ravens later on, but they put up 40 fucking points. I just watched the Bills put up 41 points, and they don't have a Jamar Chase or a T. Higgins. But far too many times you have these games. I understand last year you saw the Bengals do the historic numbers that they put up. But go throughout this run of T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow. They have games where it's like, how did they score this many points? Like, and I'm not talking in a good way. It's like, how do a team with this much weaponry, with this type of talent, look like this? How is it taking them this long to get it? Well, it's because Zach Taylor, for some reason, an offensive, and he the one who called the plays, so who else can I? And when you have an offensive-minded head coach, most offensive-minded head coach really are the ones who call the plays. Bro, we are in year what with this trio of really with Zach Taylor having Joe Burrow and having a ton of great weapons around him. You take away that Super Bowl year, bro. They've underachieved every year. And they have these games. And they found a way to win this game. Like I said, congratulations to you. You found a way to win this game. Last year, you probably would have lost it. But Zach Taylor, seemingly being so unprepared at times with this offense, or not knowing what to call, or having no continuity in the play calling. Like, I just don't understand it. It's no way that this team should be putting up 17 points. I don't care about how good you think the Cleveland Browns defense is. This is and I don't care. Oh, it's a divisional game. I do not care. The Cincinnati and Baltimore is a divisional game. They put up 40 fucking points down there every time they play. Both teams. That does not matter. Cincinnati has a good, and plus you pay that offense to put up far more than 17 points. But I'm not blaming the players. I done said multiple times throughout the years. This offense has been, as a Baltimore fan, I am very lucky that they continue to employ Zach Taylor. Because he is clearly what's holding this offense back. People talk about how he holding the team back. I don't care about that. He is holding the offense back. And if you had gotten rid of him and kept Lou Anarumo years back, you probably would have won a Super Bowl by that point in time. Because you just had way too much firepower at that point. It's very hard to look at. So you look at some offenses, right? And you see how, for the most part, on a week-to-week basis, the only time they really look bad, if ever, is when they just have a stinker of a game, meaning everybody just had a bad day that day. Like, it wasn't because maybe play calling was a little off that day. People just was a little lethargic that day. But you don't really see that. You know, throughout Ben Johnson's tenure, we think far more highly of him than when he was in Detroit, than negatively, right? for the most part, his offense looked great most times. Now, they had stinkers in big games at times. But for the most part, and you would put that more so on a player, in my opinion, than Ben Johnson not being prepared. You look at the Kyle Shanahan type of offenses. Just look at the highly touted offenses we done looked at throughout the years. How many of them truly had the talent that this Cincinnati team have? Or has had throughout the Cincinnati tenure with Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Joe Mixon, Tyler Boyd. I keep forgetting the name of the tight end that they had last year that they brought back this year, but he was a Pro Bowl level tight end, and he a great tight end. I just can't remember his name at the moment. But they got Noah Fant too, and Noah Fant a good tight end. I don't know how great Noah Fant will be for them this year. Like, I remember Noah Fant in his best days, but I don't know how much. I mean, he definitely could look good in an offense with a Jamar and a T. Higgins. That's for sure. And if I can credit Joe Burrow for anything, is he do get it to the thing. But see, this is another game where I say something. Now, I'm going to say something that's going to make a lot of Cincinnati fans mad. Because I know Cincinnati fans was happy when I was getting on Zach Taylor just now, but they really finna hate what I'm finna say next. This is why I never say Joe Burrow to me is not as good as Lamar, Josh, or Patrick Mahomes. Because I done said a lot of times, I think Joe Burrow, a lot of times, when you look at the talent around him, if they don't have a great game, he don't have a great game. It ain't that he willed them to victory or no shit like that. It's always T and Jamar making big play after big play because nobody can stay in front of these motherfuckers. But when they have those rare games where they can't break through, and you know the offensive play calling ain't going to get them open, Joe Burrow don't do shit special. To me, Joe Burrow is a good quarterback. But he is not some generational talent that everybody continue to make it seem like he is. He is not a Lamar, a Pat Mahomes, or a Josh Allen. I don't think really he is talented as I don't think he nowhere near as talented as a Jordan Love. I'm gonna just tell you that straight up. But I don't think he as talented as a Jaden Daniels either. And it's the days where I want to put C.J. Stroud over him. But then, you know, C.J. Stroud have a game like he have today, and I gotta remember. Maybe he and Joe Burrow. Nope, I don't believe that. I'm still analyzing CJ. CJ is definitely a good quarterback. And I think for the most part, I probably would. Him and Joe Burrow are closer ranking to me. I mean, some days maybe I have him over Burrow. Some days I have Burrow over him. It really depends on that front. But to me, they gotta do something with Zach Taylor, man. Maybe he need to hire somebody or give play calling up to somebody else, or legitimately let somebody else take over the play calling and he have no input whatsoever in it, because he provides nothing for Cincinnati's offense. Nothing whatsoever. And I can't remember the last time I saw an offensive-minded head coach that brought so little to an offense that has so much talent and potential than Zach Taylor. It's absolutely frightening. We are almost to the Baltimore Bills game, but I want to touch on this Miami-Indy game real quick. Daniel Jones had a hell of a game. Big game Daniel Jones. He had a huge game in this game, but that's not who I want to talk about. You see, I was annoyed earlier in the season or in the off season where Tua was calling out, basically saying Tyreek had to earn our trust and yada yada yada. I don't really think that was shit that needed to be said to the media. That could have been left behind closed doors, or that could have been something you said to him behind closed doors. I don't really think that's, you needed to be this great leader and talk about how Tyreek needed to. I don't think that mattered. We probably would have knew that anyways based off him not getting the C on his chest. But I just think it's very interesting that Tua keep getting that C on his chest, when Tua is, to me, a far bigger reason as to why the Dolphins are a bad team or not a competent team or a team that ain't been the team that we thought they would be than Tyreek is the reason for that stuff. Because Tyreek, for the most part, plays. He ain't the one that's always hurt. And then I could say Tyreek do far more for Tua than Tua do for Tyreek. And at every opportunity Tyreek get to hype up Tua, he done hyped up Tua. So what that Tyreek ended up getting mad and finally wanting to leave last year? That's a dude who want to win and said to himself, bro, I cannot win here in Miami because for one, Tua would never play. And then two, when Tua do have to play against great teams, he play like shit. So I'm confused on how Tua was calling out Tyreek. They need to call out Tua. This is unacceptable. For one, you're always hurt. That's hurting the team. When you're not hurt and we got to play against competent teams, you wouldn't ever believe that Indy was a competent team. You have performances like this. Even when you play competent teams, you have performances like this. We could still say you just have random performances like this against random teams on a random Sunday too, just like you had today. It's far more negative, in my opinion, when you talk about Tua now than there is positive. Which is why it's wild to me that Tyreek could be called out when Tua is having the season that he is having. Or when Tua has been what he has been to the detriment of this Miami Dolphins team over the last couple. I think Tua playing himself on the bench. What's crazy is you can't release him because that's $79 million. You're not gonna find nobody that's picking up that contract. I don't think it's a team that exists that would trade for that Tua contract. So Miami's going to be, and Jalen Waddle got hurt today. Miami's defense clearly ain't shit. Because you let Daniel Jones put up 33 points on you. All bad for Miami. Get ready for another long fucking year. The other game that I watched today, and I watched this whole game basically, the New York, Lord have mercy, the Detroit Lions and the Green Bay Packers. Micah Parsons had a hell of a sack in this game, and I know people say, well, it was a garbage time sack. Don't matter. That the ability to be able to chase a quarterback from behind like that and dive and make a sack like that, the Baltimore Ravens could have used that tonight from almost Adafe. But Jordan Love, man, I still don't think he got a number one receiver, but that he got a great offensive scheme and the receivers are talented. I think he's playing with a lot of number twos at the moment, but I think they need to go get a tight end. I think at this point, if they had a tight, you know what would be if Isaiah Likely was healthy and he ended up, because Mark Andrews really wasn't a factor against Buffalo tonight. Shocker. Big game, Mark. Never. It's a big game, and of course Mark Andrews ain't showing up for it. But I think Baltimore is at the point where they need to try to make a trade for a pass rusher. So actually, I don't know if that's what you do, because I don't think Rashawn Gary is getting traded. But boy, would that be a great trade for if the Packers had a package they could put together to get Mark Andrews. I think that would be a great fit for them in that offense. Mark Andrews could be a great fit for that offense. However, I'm thinking to myself, I'm getting distracted because I'm not even thinking about the Packers right now. I was thinking about the Ravens and who could they trade to get a. I'm gonna get to that in a minute. I'm getting distracted. Back to the Packers. I don't really, and I'm not. Don't get mad at me, Packer fans, because I love the Packers. Jordan Love specifically. I'm not really impressed with the Packers linebacker core. I think the Packers secondary for the most part is an above average secondary, even though they didn't they've traded and let pieces go that I thought was some pretty good pieces. But McKinney was a great addition. I think for the most part, and most of the names on the Green Bay Packers, you're not gonna know shit. I don't know most of the names. Well, I'm not gonna say I don't know most of the names, but I don't even know a lot of the different dudes on the defense who they bring in and out on that defense. But what I do know is They have to upgrade that middle line, that linebacking core. They got to upgrade that. I'm outside of Micah Parsons, obviously, but I just don't think Green Bay's middle linebacking situation is competent enough. I don't think the outside linebacking position outside of Micah Parsons is really competent enough. I like their defensive line. I like the secondary. I'm not, the secondary don't really. I'm not. I don't think that the secondary is bad by any stretch of the matter. Obviously, they could still get better, but I don't think they have a bad secondary. That linebacking core, however, to me, leave a lot to be desired. I'm not really. And once again, the secondary could get better too, but to me, the Green Bay linebackers outside of Micah Parsons, like today made me realize how much of an upgrade Micah Parsons is to that linebacking room, because it ain't really. Now, maybe guys just had sleeper games, but I wasn't really over the hill about their linebacking core last year. And I'm a dude who said I think Green Bay's defense done been better than people done gave them credit for the last couple years. Like that season where they missed the playoffs with Aaron Rodgers, motherfuckers like to blame the defense for that, but that defense did far more good that season than bad. And they gave Aaron Rodgers and that offense multiple opportunities in most games to win those games. Aaron Rodgers was refusing to run the ball when that was the best thing to do, and letting his ego say, I'm going to die by the sword, so I'm going to throw the ball. That's not on the defense. But I digress. This was a great game by Green Bay. The offense looked as good as I thought it would look. The Lions, very interesting how they looked without Ben Johnson. They got tackled in the backfield a lot in this game. It was a lot of bad in this game. I'm not going to lie to you. It was a lot of bad in this game by the Detroit Lions. If you are a Lions fan, you have to wonder, how good can Jared Goff be without Ben Johnson? Even with the talent, how good will he regress back into? But see, for me, I always said I think Jared Goff got a ceiling. Now, it was insane to me when I saw how high he was ranked on that top 100 players list. I think that's a goofy ass list, anyways. But him being ranked as high as he was always crazy to me. But look where they ranked Baker. Nonetheless, very interested. He got a lot of talent on the offense still. So even though I'm very interested in it, because I was looking at some of the names on this offense still, and they just paid the other receiver opposite Amon-Ra. What is it, Jaden Williams or Jay Will? I can't even remember his name at the moment. But I'm looking at I'm trying to find this motherfucking. Okay, I was trying to find this offensive coordinator's name. I'm getting distracted, but the offensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions, I'm going to have his name by next week, but I'm very interested to see how he rebound from this game, because if you put together, it's going to get very loud about Lions fans. Like, they're going to be very annoying knowing what they had with Ben Johnson. It's a lot of pressure if you're the offensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions. I don't think I thought about that too hard coming into this season, but because I thought they would be able to just pick up. Like, even though they lost Ben Johnson, I'm like, bro, they're going to still run the scheme and yada, yada, yada. But, I guess the shit was more personal than I thought, because this offense did not look the way that they have looked throughout the Ben Johnson era. So I am very interested to see how this offense looks going forward at this point. Very interested. But now we have gotten to Baltimore, Buffalo. Let me take a breath. Baltimore, Buffalo. The first Sunday night football game of the year. Gonna be hard to top it, but I'm pretty sure another game will find a way to top it. That's the one thing, Sunday Night Football, that's what they got going for them. I know a lot of people don't like Collinsworth and whatnot. I don't have a problem with Collinsworth. He do get annoying at times, but what announcer don't? What color commentator or what like all of them get annoying at times. Except for the GOAT. The GOAT don't get annoying, bro. GOAT Brady don't get annoying. But Sunday Night Football, what they got going for them is, unlike some of these other like Thursday nights, Monday nights, you can't always really guarantee a great game. Sunday nights, for the most part, always got good games. Like, it's very rare Sunday night got bad games. And when it is a bad game, it's probably because it's a bad team somehow on Sunday Night Football. But for the most part, Sunday Night Football, know that they can rely on having great games. And they're going to have matchups like this. Josh Allen, the current MVP, the reigning MVP, taking on Lamar Jackson, the guy who should have won the MVP, but the two-time MVP. Now, if you've ever watched my channel, you know I rock with Lamar and Josh Allen. I rock with them both, but let's talk about this game. So I'm a Raven fan, so I know people expect me to be upset and things like that. And I guess I'm upset in a different way. Like, I'm not emotionally damaged from the Ravens losing. Like, the Ravens losing don't make my entire week no more like it used to. But I am annoyed. But it's if you followed me on Twitter, you would already know why I'm annoyed. But first off, let's start off with the Derrick Henry fumble. The Derrick Henry fumble late in the game in the fourth quarter, you absolutely can't have that. You driving to put the game away, you just can't have it. I understand that. And I understand the greatness of Josh Allen. I talk about it all the time. He, Lamar, and Pat Mahomes are unreal to me. Like, they are the three best quarterbacks in football. And it's a gap, in my opinion, between them and everybody else. But I understand how good Josh Allen is. And Josh Allen, listen, I said it after last year. Josh Allen has, to me, Josh, Lamar, and Pat have proved they can win with talent. They can win without talent. They actually make players better. Players are better because of them. So I expected Josh Allen to be able to make plays and whatnot. I did. However, even though Derrick Henry fumbled that ball, I don't understand what more you, as an offense, the Ravens offense, I just don't understand how much more does that offense have to do to win games for this defense. I just don't get it. I'm going to just keep it a whole bucko. I'm going to keep it a whole buckaroo with you, big dog. I don't know how, like, if listen, there's going to be a lot of Raven fans out there today that blame John Harbaugh. He seemed to be one of the favorites. And I saw it was like a stat where, like, he got like 16 fourth quarter losses where he was up double digits. And I'm not going to defend that. That's a ridiculous stat to have. And I know it's going to be people, it's going to be blame put in a lot of ridiculous places. But in my opinion, or just from my perspective, your offense, and once again, I understand how great Josh Allen is. I do. But this reoccurring thing of the Ravens offense going nuclear against teams, and the defense allowing the other team to go nuclear against them when the Ravens decide, okay, we feel like we done put up enough points on offense. We done put about 40-some points. We should not have to go out here and score every single drive from here on out. The defense should be able to get stops, win this game. And the Ravens defense never does. I don't understand. Once again, I get it. Derrick Henry fumbled that ball. Derrick Henry had 7 carries for 101 yards in like the first quarter. Look at Derrick Henry's stats after the game. What more would that man have to have done to get his team a win? Look at Lamar's stats after the game. You know, I'm not a stats person, but you don't. If you watch the game, you didn't need to see the stats. The offense did their job. Lamar didn't turn the ball over, because I know people love to go, oh, Lamar. Lamar didn't turn the ball over. The offense did their job. They gave the defense a 15-point lead in the fourth quarter. One of the biggest problems with the Ravens defense, and it's been a problem with the Ravens defense for the last couple of years, and I talk about this every time I talk about the Ravens, the lack of a pass rush. The Ravens don't have a legitimate pass rush. They don't have a guy who can see. The Ravens have relied on scheme, from all the different coordinators, the defensive coordinators they done had over the last couple years in the John Harbaugh era. They didn't rely a lot on scheme. See, when John Harbaugh first got to Baltimore, they didn't have to rely on just scheme. They did have a great defensive scheme, but the scheme wasn't as important as Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, Terrell Suggs, Alohi Nada. All those type of top-tier players on defense, that boosted a scheme. The scheme didn't boost them. It helped when you have a scheme that can fit those type of players. But how many schemes can you say fit those type of players more so than it's those type of players made your scheme look great? The Ravens don't have that. Out of all the games that I watched in week 1, the Ravens, they battling with the Cowboys for the worst pass rush I probably saw this weekend. And it's probably a team who had just as bad a pass rush that I didn't watch, because I didn't watch that Carolina game. Well, I didn't watch that entire game. Once in the beginning of that game, I was like, yeah, I see what this is about to be. And I was like, I'm not watching this. But the pass rush for the Ravens, you got Odafe Owe, who I like to call almost Odafe, because he almost always get there, but he never gets there. Last year was the first time in his career he had double-digit sacks. It was 10 sacks. He is not a consistent pass rush threat. He does not, in big games, the Ravens defense does not show up as far as pass rush on the court. When you play against Josh Allen and you just continuously let him stand back there in the pocket and figure things out. Once again, I don't care about the level of talent that Josh Allen has at his disposal. I do think that will eventually hurt him and the Bills. Not hurt him as much as it's going to hurt. Well, it's going to hurt him because they're not going to talk about Josh crazy. But when Josh is at home, season opener, he can stand back in the pocket and just continue. He knowing he going to throw the ball because we down 15, so I'm throwing the ball. But I think one of the best things about Josh also, it wasn't just reckless playing out there too when he got behind. He still played a professional game. He still played that's why I like watching Lamar and Josh Allen, bro. Because when they go down, because for one, Lamar and Josh, they rarely get blown out. I can't remember too many times that either of these two dudes done been blown out. You could probably count it on one hand how many times these two done been blown out. When they are trailing in a game, I know Josh was big turnover prone early in his career, and Lamar wasn't as sophisticated in the pocket early in his career. But when you look at these two over the last couple years of their careers, when they go down in games, just look at how they continue to play to get back. Because both of them have a lot of comeback wins. Look at how they play from behind. This is why I say to beat it does not matter about a first half when you play against Lamar, Mahomes, Josh Allen. Because they are so great at understanding how to manipulate the momentum of a game if you continue to give them opportunities. One of the biggest ways to stop them from being able to do that in the second half or throughout a game when they are behind is to have a reliable, consistent pass rush. And the fact that the Ravens cannot rely on Odafe Owe or Ajabo or Nnamdi Madubuike or Cal Van Noy. They cannot rely on any of these. And the linebacking core outside, for most Raven fans, I dare you to name. Well, they done been there for a couple years now, so you're gonna know the linebackers. But the Ravens do not have a good linebacking core outside of Roquan Smith, and even Roquan didn't look that great to me last night. And I don't think Roquan bad. I don't think he getting worse. I think this is continuously a product of not having any. He does not have a competent linebacker playing beside him or opposite him. I don't think his outside backers is good, left or right, and the dude that stand beside him is not good. Like, it is 4 linebackers on the field. Only one of them is, to me, starter worthy. And then your pass rush. Like, don't get me wrong. Jair Alexander got cooked up last night. And he should have just let Buddy score. However, I'm surprised that, to be honest with you, to me, the only person who played good on defense last night was Kyle Hamilton. Kyle Hamilton, the game probably was closer anyways, if not for some of the plays that Kyle Hamilton made. The fact that Kyle Hamilton is probably your best tackler on defense outside of Roquan Smith is a problem. Specifically because none of those linebackers are better tacklers than Kyle Hamilton. That is a problem. Like, I sat back as I was watching this game last night, and I was thinking to myself, how has it gotten this bad at the linebacking core for this team? Like, how is none of these linebackers big name worthy players on the Ravens defense except for Roquan? All the other big names are in the secondary. You got a rookie who just came in who bigger than all the linebackers on the team. Nnamdi Madubuike is 2 years removed from that good season he had. Cal Van Noy is still your best pass rusher. Cal Van Noy pushing 40. Cal Van Noy looked like an old man last night. And I'm not mad at Cal Van Noy. I don't expect Cal Van Noy to go out there and be Myles Garrett, TJ Watt, or nothing like that. But therein lies your problem. If your best pass rusher is Cal Van Noy and you're not expecting Cal Van Noy to give it to you for most of the season because of his age, you have a problem. And when you continuously only rely on scheme, and now you realize, oh, well, damn, the players aren't getting there, the scheme not getting them there, blitzing ain't getting them there. Like, you got to send Kyle Hamilton on these safety blitzes to try to draw up pressure on Josh Allen. You have a problem. I don't understand how this could have gone on for this many years, and this still has not been addressed. This is why I said, I tweeted in the middle of the game last night, or I tweeted during the game last night. Imagine if the Ravens had a Micah Parsons to send out there to pass rush when they are up 15 points against a team. The difference in having a Terrell Suggs when you are up by double digits to go out there and hunt than a Odafe Oweh, a David Ojabo, a Nnamdi Madubuike, and whoever the hell else. And Arthur Jones had a good, not Arthur Jones, what's his name? Jones on the other defensive tackle, Jones, he had a good game too. He a great run stopper. But outside of him and Kyle Hamilton, the defense for the Ravens looked silly. Couldn't tackle on a play where the running back for the Bills, I can't remember his name at the moment, Cook, broke loose for like a 50-yard gain on a bunch of missed tackles by your linebacking core. Like, you have to understand something. I just want people to understand something. Because it's pretty much, for the football heads out there, it's pretty much widely known that a lot of people don't look at Patrick Queen as one of the, like, I think Patrick Queen is a decent linebacker. It's a lot of things that he lacked, in my opinion. I don't know if he'll ever be, well, no, he's not going to ever be, in my opinion, a true middle linebacker, like that, a middle linebacker one. But imagine how people talk about Patrick Queen for a second. Like, you know, the way people talk about Patrick Queen. Now, just think for a second, as bad as people talk about Patrick Queen and his... I'm trying to think of the word. I don't know why this word is eluding me right now. But think about all the things, the disadvantages, or not, if that's not the word. All of the things that Patrick Queen can't do that people talk about. And he was still the second best linebacker on the Ravens. And so far and away better than all those other and I kept saying this back when he was on the team. I kept saying it. If Patrick Queen is as bad as he is, and he continuously is the starter, this is even before Roquan got there. Imagine how much worse everybody behind him has to be. If he is this bad, and they will not bench him, literally, he was the starter till Roquan got there, and they moved him to the second starter. Imagine how much worse everybody behind him is. And we've been finding that out on the Ravens ever since he was allowed to walk to the Steelers. I mean, that's just the nature of the beast. The Ravens, to me, the defense will always have a ceiling because, for one, in big games against top-tier quarterbacks who can make shit happen, they do not. And it's not just like they can escape the pocket. No. I'm talking about make shit happen like Lamar Jackson, Pat Mahomes, Josh Allen. Against quarterback, maybe a Jaden Daniels, Joe Burrow in that offense on days. Like, when you have to be able to have a guy who can just go out there and win his matchup. Say, fuck scheme, this dude can just go win. They don't have that. They don't. And their scheme ain't good enough. Because clearly last night they couldn't draw up good enough pressure, or adequate enough pressure on Josh Allen. So, once again, the player's not good enough. The scheme not good enough. What are we going to do? Because all you're going to do is continue to hurt your secondary. Because your secondary can't be asked to go out there and defend this long every play because you can't draw up legitimate pressure. Not only that, your offense cannot be expected. I mean, the Ravens at this point going to have to have, mind you, I just want to point out. People cried about that Bengals defense. I saw what the Bengals defense did yesterday. I saw what the Ravens defense did yesterday. The Ravens defense was given a 15-point lead in the fourth quarter. And they gave up, 226 yards, I think, of offense to the Bills. 22 points given up in the fourth quarter by the Ravens defense. It's embarrassing. And the Ravens have games like this every season. Once again, I'm not going to hop on this train to fire John Harbaugh. I don't think this is a John Harbaugh problem. I do believe this is a Zach Orr problem because you started off the way you started last year. You went for a long time last year with your defense looking like hot garbage. Somehow the defense figured it out at the back end of the season. You cannot come into this season with your defense looking like it's regressed back into week 1 of last year. That just can't happen. You had a whole 2 off seasons. Like, it just cannot happen. To me, the leash for Zach Orr has to be short. I think they needed to go get a professional. I really think Rex Ryan, if he wanted to be the defensive, if Rex Ryan was willing to be the DC for the Ravens, I think they need to go hire him. I'm going to be honest with you. I just think they need to just go hire a defensive coordinator to know what the fuck they're doing, even if it means promoting Chuck Pagano at this point. Because clearly Zach Orr does not know how to coach his defense up in big games against certain quarterbacks. He does not have a plan to draw up consistent pressure on a quarterback. And listen, I'm not telling you that they done gave him the greatest pieces to work with, but his cupboard is not bare. And clearly, you saw Mike McDaniels did not have he had basically the same pieces I think this defense got better pieces than the defense Mike McDaniels had or Mike McDonald had. And look at what he was able to do. His defense and his scheme and his coaching made so many players look so much better than what they were. You can't say that for Zach Orr. And listen, I understand Zach Orr young. This is the problem with the Zach Orr young argument. Because I understand that. But Lamar Jackson is not young. Well, he is young, but that young shit, that timeline, that don't work when you got Lamar Jackson, when you got Pat Mahomes, when you got Josh Allen, when you got Joe Burrow, when you got Jaden Daniels. Because you trying to win, so maybe not for Pat Mahomes no more, but you trying to win at all costs as quick as possible because you don't feel like you got that much time. Zach Orr, you need a defensive coordinator that can make a difference right now. Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, DeAndre Hopkins, they can't afford to have a year like the Ravens had last year where the offense got to score so many points and had the defense figuring it out all year. They can't have that. I know it's easy to say like, oh, you know, well, he'll figure it out. The defense will figure it out. Lamar Jackson can't afford to have his defense needing to figure it out every year. Like you cannot lose a game like that. Now, the only thing I will say about John Harbaugh is on that 4th and 3, I'm keeping the ball in Lamar Jackson's hands. I'm letting him decide that game. Either we gonna get a first down and milk that clock with Lamar, or the defense coming out to play to probably give up a touchdown, which you probably need to give up anyways because you got 3 timeouts. So you could probably hold it to 3 points anyways. But nonetheless, as long as your defense gets a stop, you got 3 timeouts to work with. I'm still putting it in the hands of Lamar. That to me was probably my only problem with that's my only decision that I would probably question with John Harbaugh. But other than that, nothing else. To me, this is not on John Harbaugh. Maybe his faith in Zach Orr, you can argue is a problem. But outside of that, or his faith in it's just his faith in Zach Orr. Because listen, I think this is a bigger problem than John Harbaugh, to be completely honest with you. I think this is they don't have a legitimate pass rusher. And now, with Kyle Van Noy being older, you think he's going to have the season that he had last year again this year? Highly doubt it. So now, you probably don't have, you don't even, I think the Ravens probably have one of the worst pass rushes in the NFL. And you're relying on Zach Orr to coach this pass rush up and have the scheme like last year make the pass rush look good. But you forget, when you play against bad quarterbacks, more times than not, Lamar Jackson in the offense taking big leads, so teams throwing it, so you're able to blitz and do things like that. Then you got the secondary that you had with Marlon Humphreys having the season he had last year. So the secondary and Lamar do a lot for those numbers. But when you play against a dude like Josh Allen, dude like Pat Mahomes, look at the fact that they don't get turnovers in the playoffs. They don't create second opportunities or extra opportunities for Lamar Jackson in the offense. That's why people always be bitching and complaining, oh, if Lamar didn't turn the ball over. Lamar didn't turn the ball over last night. You see what happened? At some point in time, this is why I get annoyed when people just specifically choose to hate Lamar. Because this is why I've consistently said this is why the Ravens haven't gotten to where they need to get to. It's not because of Lamar Jackson. At some point in time, you have to look at other things on a team. Other motherfuckers get paid to do a job too. And the fact is, the niggas who they paying on defense all this money to ain't doing their jobs. Not talking about Kyle Hamilton. This is excluding Kyle Hamilton. Kyle Hamilton is a treasure. He is a joy. I love that man with my entire heart. This is not, everything I'm saying is excluding Kyle Hamilton. And it's kind of a kind of so-so on Roquan. Because I really don't blame Roquan for how he be looking at times. Because they are asking Roquan to go out there and do this with below average talent to me at linebacker. I'm just being honest. I really think the Ravens should have did everything in their power to try to go and get Micah Parsons. Or to me, and then Mike Green wasn't even on the field for most of the game. I don't understand what you see from dudes who was here last year. Bro, Mike Green should be getting every opportunity to play. He should not be playing behind Odafe or nobody else on the Ravens line, bro. The Ravens do not have a good enough. None of those dudes is good. If you think Mike Green can be special, he should be given every opportunity to play. There's not a single player on the Ravens defensive line right now that was there before Mike Green that's there now. That's like, oh yeah, he's so good. He just got to play over. No, the rookie should be getting every opportunity to play. And to be completely honest with you, Eric DeCosta should be looking into the trade market right now. I'm going to be very annoyed if they pull the shit that they pulled last year where they wasted the trade deadline to trade for a receiver when they did not need that. They need a pass rusher. And I said this shit for 3 years now. They need to go get a pass rusher and they need to go get offensive line help. Now, Lord Jesus. I done talked about this offensive line for the Ravens being hyped up because of how great Lamar is. But I'm going to get to that on a different day because I'm actually, the offensive line is annoying, but they need a pass rusher because Lamar Jackson can figure this shit out with the offensive line. They need a pass rusher. That is the problem. For as average as I think the offensive line is, the motherfucker still, Derrick Henry ran crazy. Lamar Jackson still going to figure shit out, still put up 40 points. They need a pass rusher. They need a legitimate pass rusher who can fuck a scheme, who can say, I don't need your scheme. I can go beat my man one-on-one. They don't have it. Every single team in the division have it. They don't. You got Trey Hendrickson over there in Cincinnati. You got Myles Garrett in Cleveland. You got T.J. Watt, Cam Hayward, Alex Highsmith, and I think Preston Smith still over there in Pittsburgh. The Ravens don't have that guy. And that is a problem. And that has been a problem. But because Lamar Jackson turned the ball over in the first half, people just keep ignoring it. Except for Mina Kimes. Shout out to Mina Kimes. But with all that being said, I'm not worried. I'm not worried. Shout out to Josh Allen, my guy. I rock with Josh Allen, so I wasn't that mad at the end of it anyways. But the Ravens will be fine. I mean, I am annoyed. I mean, they'll be fine in the sense of they're going to make the playoffs, yada, yada, yada. Now, I'm not happy about the defense whatsoever. But the offense, how many teams do you think would have been able to come back from down? I understand the Ravens do blow leads like that. But how many times is Derrick Henry going to fumble that ball in that situation? More times than not, John Harbaugh is probably going for it on that fourth down anyways. Like, a lot of things went well for the Bills. Like that 3 points that the refs gave them at the halftime that they shouldn't have got. That was very fortunate. Loop missing an extra point. That ended up being very beneficial for him. So, at the end of the day, while I did want to be critical and break down the defense and the things that I saw, this was still very much a game the Ravens still should have won, even with that dickhead-ass defense. And maybe ultimately that's the problem, Saint. They should have won. You could say that too many times about the Ravens. They should have won. But what I'm saying is, a lot of other factors played a part in this game also. They were in Buffalo. They were in Buffalo. And Buffalo's they got a hell of a whistle in Buffalo. It's going to be a good season, though. I expected Buffalo to finish at a higher they did the Ravens anyways, even if the Ravens win their division, because the Buffalo Bills play a terrible schedule. I mean, their schedule is one of the easiest schedules for a team. For like Josh Allen play for one, his schedule he gonna have 6 cakewalks to most people because he played the Jets twice, which might not be cakewalks this year, but you play the Jets twice, the Dolphins twice, the Patriots twice, and I haven't seen shit from the Patriots or the Dolphins to make me believe that those games still won't be cakewalks. Now, to end this, I saw Bill Belichick. I saw them asking about banning the Patriots, and he said, I'm not welcome up there, so they're not welcome over here. Respect. With that being said, I appreciate you for joining me on another episode of the recap. Week 1 recap. I'll talk about the Chicago Bears Minnesota Vikings game Thursday night when I do the Thursday night recap. I appreciate you for joining me. Tell somebody you fuck with them. Tell somebody you love them. You can be anything in this world. Choose to be kind to somebody else today. I'm rushing through the hell. I'm rushing like a motherfucker through the back end of this thing. Boy, I'm tired. Listen. Let's start over. I appreciate you for joining me on another episode of the recap. It's been a treat. Like, subscribe, share, tell a friend to tell a friend. You could be anything in this world, so choose to be kind to somebody today. This is now where I was actually supposed to say like, subscribe, share, tell a friend, and tell a friend. I fuck with you. I rock with you. I love you. And until next time, Saint out. I was supposed to debut a segment today, but I'm so damn tired. Saint out.
Y'all be asking that same question, how does it feel when we lose, bro? How do you think? You know what I'm saying? I gotta come up with another question than asking how does it feel when we lose, bro. I'm tired of hearing that.
I got the moves like hot sauce. Lil' mama taking the top off. I'm laying down getting topped off. After this, you know she getting knocked off. I know she loving the money, so I keep on thumbing and thumbing. She say she horny when she taking shots, so I keep them coming and coming. Now I'm putting dick in her tummy. Scoop her up like I'm raking the summers. You would think shawty red track, the way that she running and running. You getting dumber and dumber. You out here chasing the bone. After she finished from giving me dome, the Uber is taking her home. Tight.